Joining us now is our political reporter Olivia Utley. I mean, they might say that, but lots of objections to this introduction of this amendment to the Public Order Bill. I mean, it's people saying, how can the Prime Minister criticise the Chinese and their behaviour in Hong Kong and then want to curb the right to protest here in the UK?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, and certainly the Prime Minister is going to face attacks from both sides. The sort of libertarian right wing of his party, the Trussites, say, who will be protesting against this from a sort of free speech angle. The right to protest is very important. Then you'll have left-wingers who will come at it more at the, Extinction Rebellion and Just Stop Oil have a point. They should be allowed to make themselves known. The Prime Minister will claim, as you mentioned there, that it's for the sake of police chiefs. And actually, there is quite a lot to back that up. Police chiefs last year found it very, very difficult when there was slow walking protests on the roads, and that they weren't sure whether that came under the definition of serious disruption. So they didn't know whether or not they were allowed to take those people off the roads, which, left them in a very difficult situation because the people who were caught in traffic jams across the whole of London were furious about it. So Rishi Sunak will claim this isn't at all about quashing the right to protest, it's just about clarity. But whether that will stick in Parliament...
Well, there's such things as vote winners and vote losers, really. To the electorate, to the people watching and listening to us this morning, I reckon if we ran a poll today, they would say these protesters are a pain in the backside and there's a time and a place for everything, and they'd be very much in favour of this. So certainly he's playing to the gallery on this, but can he get this sort of thing through the House and through the Lords?
Well, exactly. This is clearly the calculation that he's made, that this is going to be popular among the ordinary people. Obviously, there is a problem with the Lords particularly, but in the House of Commons, it's easy to forget that the Conservatives do have a big majority still, even if Rishi Sunak doesn't feel like the most powerful Prime Minister. And as you say, with the public support, you'd expect the vast majority of Conservative MPs, even with a couple of libertarian exceptions, to throw their weight behind this because they know that their constituents will probably back it. So it should get through without too much hassle.
Although Baroness Chakrabarti, of course, a Labour peer, being very vocal this morning, saying this draconian bill would treat peaceful dissent as effectively terrorism. So she is unimpressed. Someone was saying to us, it was Leon Emirali, wasn't it, this morning, that this was perhaps an attempt to try and make the Prime Minister look tough, that he's got a problem as he looks quite weak. He's being held over a barrel, isn't he, by the unions. This morning we're hearing more about teaching strikes. They're getting underway in Scotland, and we're expecting to hear about some in England as well. What's he going to do about that? Because lots of parents are very upset about that.
Yes, and he's certainly in a very difficult position there, which would suggest that perhaps he is trying to look tough on a different front. The situation that we've reached with the teachers is that ministers are now essentially begging teachers to go to work, at least to teach GCSE and A-level pupils, and at least to make sure that they're able to do their exams. But ministers have no leverage on the teachers because we know that this minimum service legislation, which has been much talked about, if it ever gets through the House of Commons and House of Lords, which is quite a big if because there's a lot of pushback, won't be getting through until the summer, which is far too late. So all that ministers can really do is sort of ask teachers to go into work. Then on the other strike front, Rishi Sunak's facing a cabinet split on the NHS strikes. We're now at the point, it seems, that Steve Barclay, who previously has been sort of the bogeyman in all of this, is pushing for pay rises for all NHS staff apart from doctors, and Jeremy Hunt and Rishi Sunak are pushing back. But when you've got such a high-level cabinet split over this, and when the NHS staff think that the health secretary is on their side, it's hard to see how Rishi's going to get his way.